Hello, hello, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Jiayanu, pakhair ragale, ni hao, chuna shumme, washmale, ohio gonzaimus, guten morgen, privat, hi, hugs and hellos, and khush amdeed. Thank you very much for tuning into PT World. You're watching World this morning alongside Shazad Khan and Maha Makhdoom. Hello, Maha. How are you? Good morning.
Assalamualaikum, good morning.
Walaikum assalam.
Hello, back to you. Shazad, your hellos, I told you, one day they're going to be taking up a whole segment. There's another two hellos I've noticed since I've been gone.
Exactly, and it's just
so-
because it's just because of the fact that whenever we have somebody from another country and they're not from Pakistan, we try to, say our hellos in their own language, in their own native language, and that makes them feel happier as well.
Exactly, and then Shazad decides to say them every time, which is great because we do have viewers all over the world. So I hope you enjoy it because Shazad is expanding his hello vocabulary.
Exactly, that's what it is. It's
Yes.
it's Friday today, and ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, that whenever we start our show, we start it with our topmost headlines. So you want to go first, or I want to go
I think
first?
you can go first because I think what you've got is
So
pretty
first of all,
important.
congratulations to blind cricket team of Pakistan because they beat Sri Lanka with 5 wickets, and it was a T20 match as well. Thank you very much for doing that. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you very much for the team management, and keep on doing that. That's good work. Keep it up. And then moving on, for all those people who are planning a vacation, I think today will be the day because tomorrow onwards there'll be snowfall in different parts of the country as well. So let's start from Murray, Nathia Gully, and then wherever in the northern areas as well. So wherever you are, if you are planning, this is the time to go. So these are the top headlines I wanted to share today. And yeah, do you have something?
Yes, we have the Iranian tennis team who are in the country, so that shall be interesting. We will give you an update on what's happening with that next week.
Exactly. And one more thing that people, these days are very concerned whether they can go to US or not.
Yes.
And then after, Trump banned 7 countries, now the best part is that for all those people, I don't know whether it's a good news for you guys or not, but I think it needs to be a good news. Because of the fact that there's no changes in the visa policy, and this is by the embassy over here in Islamabad as well, and I'm going to quote the newspaper as well. It's the news. So the news says, no, in fact, it's the nation.
It's the nation.
It's the nation. No change in U.S. visa policy for Pakistan. So that's what it is for the headlines. But now moving forward, I think, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a very important show.
Exactly. And I'd just like to mention before you introduce the show is that how Shazad said, when guests come from all over the world, we like to learn about their cultures and welcome them. But just by welcoming people from faraway countries, that's all great. But we need to know what's happening in our neighboring countries, what's happening to our fellow brothers and sisters, what's happening to our fellow Muslims all over the world.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Maya, for sharing that because that's what we are doing today. But we do have a small footage to share with all our viewers. And when you guys are going to come back, we are going to tell you that what we guys are talking about. So please go ahead, take a look at this one. And then when you guys are going to come back, we're going to talk about facts indeed. Let's take a look.
Let's visit heaven, a heaven whose next generation will be blind. Come, let's visit Kashmir. This is the future generation of Kashmir, laying on hospital beds, blinded. A weapon called pellet gun is blinding the people of Kashmir, mostly teens and children. Young teens have lost their hopes. They see no future now. Who were these rebels, and who did this to them? Is demanding freedom a crime? Every victim thinks. They too had seen dreams, but now their life is dark. The pellets have pierced their eyes, leaving them in despair. Not able to see the world, they are suffering mental agony and pain. With their families shattered, hopes lost, and wet eyes, they're scared to face the world because the oppressors may catch them. The children have lost their childhood, their fantasies. Their mothers are wailing, sitting beside them in hospital beds. These blooming buds will unfortunately have to live a life of misery. The dwellers of heaven are bearing the pain that of hell. But Almighty, no one can suppress these rebellions. Every second hour, pellets rupture and I hear. More than 664 people are hit in the eyes since the uprising and are still counting. This is the heaven Kashmir, yelling out to the world. When cruelty makes flow blood streams, O people, thou shalt witness and tell, it can withstand even an ocean of screams when heaven is turned into a living hell.
Welcome back, and that was a little report with what's been happening in Kashmir since since 8th July, and it's some terrible things happening. But we are marking Kashmir Solidarity Day, which is on the 5th of February, but we're doing it a couple of days early.
And I think everybody needs to do it all around the globe as well. And whenever we talk about solidarity, so for all those Pakistanis who are out there, let's talk about the history of it as well. So for the very first time, the initiative was actually taken by the now Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mia Muhammad Nawaz Sharif, back in 1990 when he was the Chief Minister of Punjab. And he came up with the initiative that we need to stand up for our Kashmiri brethren and we need to observe a day. And then it was later on accepted and then it was done. And let me tell you very clearly and very honestly that, whenever the PMLN government has taken over, when the party has taken over and they have been in the office, they've always made sure that, they are going to take this issue to the United Nations General Assembly as well. And even last year, our premier went to meet the secretary as well, and he met Ban Ki-moon, showed all the pictures, and they said that they're going to do something about it. But I don't think that, which way, or are we even moving in the right, we are moving in the right direction, but all of those authorities, all of those people who do have authorities, because we need to come up with a solution which is very peaceful. This is what we are looking for. This is what Pakistanis look for. And then, on 5th of February, quite a lot of processions take place, and then, they make a human chain, and it comes down from Azad Jammu Kashmir, and then in Pakistan, we all stand with our Kashmiri brethren. But these barbaric acts and I think these are more than barbaric acts, vulturistic acts by Kashmiris, I think. In fact, Indians, very sorry to say that, but they need to stop.
Exactly.
And, everybody has got these fundamental rights when they were born. And such violation of human rights, I mean, are there even all those people who, come into or probably invade into other countries because of these facts that, such things are going on? So where are those agencies? Where are those people who talk about that? Where are those human rights activists? Why can't you work over here in these areas? I mean, why for so long this issue has been lingering and lingering on?
That's a very good point. But also one thing I'd like to add to that is, apart from the international organizations or all these peace activists, Pakistan and also Kashmir need to go hand in hand together. Like Shahzad said, from the government point of view, they are saying the right things. They are taking this issue to the international community. However, as Pakistanis, we need to make our voices heard and actually be like, these people matter, these issues matter. And, we've seen in America how people have stood up for this Muslim ban. They've stood up for people who are not being allowed in. So in Pakistan, we need to make our voices heard and realize that our voices do matter. So just to discuss the situation, what's happening, and how we can show our solidarity and find peaceful solutions, we've been joined by Ms. Shaista Safi. She is a lobbyist, works with the Lobbyist Youth Forum for Kashmir. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Besides Ms. Shaista Safi, we've been joined by Mr. Syed Faiz Naqshbandi. He is a representative of the All-Party Hurriyat Conference. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Besides Mr. Syed Faiz Naqshbandi, we've been joined by Dr. Waleed, who is an APHC representative as well. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for joining us. And, I cannot explain the sorrow we do have over here as Pakistanis when we see that, this is what's happening to our brethren. We can stand up in solidarity, but, this is what is our responsibility as show anchors or hosts. What we can do is probably spread awareness.
Yeah.
How do you think that, in all of these past years, things are changing or nothing is happening, Mr. Faiz?
Thank you. Nothing has changed on ground in the Indian occupied Kashmir at the hands of the government of India and its armed forces. Repression continues. After the custodial killing of Mr. Burhan Wani, a freedom fighter, people of the area and the adjoining area, they went to attend the funeral ceremony in his native village. But the Indian forces that let loose the reign of terror on peaceful protesters. This was the beginning of from the 8th of July 2016. And in 2 days, just in 2 days, 33 Kashmiri peaceful protesters were killed by indiscriminate direct firing. And scores of people have been injured by the bullets. Even the Indian armed forces, they used pellet firing on the peaceful protesters. The doctors, when they were admitted in the hospital, first, I must tell you here that the injured were stopped from being taken to the hospitals. Again, a crime against humanity. This is against the human rights standards. The ambulances were attacked. The drivers of the ambulances, they were beaten by the Indian armed forces. And there are the medical reports that the bullets and the pellet firing have been used and fired above the abdomen. Even the High Court asked the armed forces in some of the cases, why you didn't use below the abdomen, on the legs. It is a law, and if there is a firing on the vital part of the bodies, it means that the Indian armed forces has an intention to kill the people. And there was in this petition, the High Court, before the High Court of the Jammu and Kashmir, the Director General of the CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force, directly controlled by the New Delhi, he made an affidavit acknowledging that 1.3 million pellets were fired during short period of time within 20 days.
1.3 million pellets.
He made the confession on the affidavit. And unofficially, millions of pellets they have used. And what is a pellet? What is a pellet shot? It contains 500 to 600 iron balls, which were fired on especially on the face and the chest. And the people, these pellets have penetrated in the lungs, in the heart, in the spinal cord. It is a medical reports. Medical reports, it's very good. And why all this? Why all this? Number one, people were protesting against the Indian atrocities, against the killing of this freedom fighter, Burhan Wani. And thirdly, they are demanding their right to self-determination, which has been promised by the United Nations, by several UN resolutions. We, the people of the Kashmir, we want implementation of the UN resolutions so that we could decide our political destiny.
Absolutely.
But if you will see the history, in 1947, India and Pakistan emerged on the map of the world as two independent countries. At that time, there were about 600 princely states, all except few decided either India or Pakistan. Kashmir was among the few. Before the Kashmiris could decide their political destiny according to the plan of partition, India forcibly landed its troops in Srinagar, occupied it by sheer use of force, which continues up till now, with widespread of human rights violations.
Exactly, and which you have already correctly mentioned. They've been, noted by the UN, and they've been, there's been resolutions passed in favor of the Kashmiris. Now, I'd like to bring Ms. Shaista into the conversation. You are working with the Lobbyist Youth Forum for Kashmiris. So tell us a little bit about that and what kind of work are you guys doing?
Thank you very much, Maha. The thing is, there was a time when everyone here, even in Pakistan, felt that the Kashmir issue is now being ignored and it's not being given the time it should have been. So that was the time we youth from Pakistan, from AJK and from IOK, I belong to IOK, and I felt that as well. So we decided to create a platform where we could unite all the youth from Pakistan, AJK and Indian occupied Kashmir, not only these three regions, but also from India, from any part of the world where the youth stand up for the human rights, where the people have conscience that yes, there's something wrong happening in Indian occupied Kashmir. So that was the time when we felt that there is a need that youth comes out, because Indian media at that time, they were very active in portraying that Kashmiri youth is very much with India. It's just few handful people, few separatists, few whatever name they
That's
give.
what they say, yeah.
They always say that youth of Kashmir is with India. It's some of the few people or separatists that are always saying things about India. It's youth is with. So that was the time we youth here in Pakistan, in India, in Kashmir. We decided that no, we have to come forward. We have to tell the world that it's not few handful people. It's all Kashmir who is demanding the right of self-determination. It's not only people in Kashmir. It's people Kashmiri living outside of Kashmir as well who are facing the exile. So they too want to have that right.
Thank you very much for saying that, and you know, I'll stop you over here, but right now for all those people who might not be aware of this fact and who say that, you know, there are a handful of people who say that, you know, we need to be in brotherhood with Pakistan or be a part of there. I think we have got a small video to share with you guys how Pakistan is actually taken within Kashmir and how seriously we take Kashmiris as well. Let's play that video. We do have that video. You need to check that because we were playing that video before the show as well. So come on, we're going to get that video ready and we're going to give you that image too.
And just adding to Shahzad's point is that if it was a few handful of people, just a small handful of people, then first of all, they wouldn't need so many pellets. So many people wouldn't be injured and they wouldn't be so aggressive in their repression of these protests.
We need 7 lakh and more Indian army troops there in Kashmir to handle those handful of people.
Exactly.
They have to be logical, what are they saying? And to come to the point that even now Yashwant Sinha, a BJP leader and external affairs minister, he comes up with a report with his 5 other person. They made a group of concerned citizens and they went to Kashmir in last October 2016, and they come up with a report, and even they say that the Kashmiri youth is now, they don't fear anything. They are now, they feel alienated. They don't believe in idea of India, and they are not facing any fear of India now because they have seen so much brutalities. They have seen so much in their childhood. Now they are fearless and they are not even afraid to be dead or to go to
and
the
it's
jail.
not even about their
so far
childhood.
as
I mean,
I will
we do have these videos, these barbaric acts going on. And then other than that, you know, sir, I would love to move on to Dr. Saab over here. Now, Dr. Saab, just tell me one thing. You do have your political parties over there. Why do you think that the leadership, do you think, I mean, it's just a question, do you think that the leadership's failing or it's the Indian barbaric acts or, you know, atrocities which really do not let anybody do anything?
I think perceptions shall be made clear. Whatsoever resistance has been moved forward, it was in highest degree of resistance which has been shown by our people in Indian occupied Kashmir against India. Now the degree of hatred is in front of the people and in front of the international community. And as far as leadership is concerned, they are doing well. Leadership's role is to lead the nation through their proper and represent their aspirations.
Yeah.
And it is very simple that the people demonstrate that their aspirations are they don't want to be with India. It's very much clear. And number 2, they have adopted the democratic methods also. They have exercised, and they have those elections have proved that India is not accepting the democratic methodology to accept the rights of the people. So it is evident that resistance is there. Number two, leaders are there and they are on the soil, they are on the ground.
Exactly.
They are representing and they are leading on the front, particularly the all parties Hurriyat conference and their leadership. They are on the soil and they are very much, they have covalent bond with their public, with their masses, because their aspirations are akin with the leadership. What leadership say, same masses demand. And there is the covalent bond between the aspirations and the leadership will. So it is very much clear the degree of resistance was highest, as you have seen, in post-era of the Burhanization. And I have written a research paper on the interplay of social media and the conventional media have given birth to a new resistance, which we called Burhanization. It is a spatial phenomena in spatial circumstances, because so far there was not any sort of conventional media which was choked and blocked by Indian forces.
Right.
But the youth took the new tool, that is the social media, in hands, and they have brought their miseries
Exactly,
out
we've
to the
seen
world.
those pictures where they have
where they
defamed
can
with
see
those palette
where-
shots.
Yeah, you can see it. So there is an evolution of resistance itself.
Okay,
They
and
are
we will
passing through evolutionary.
We'll definitely talk about that.
Okay, so we will discuss about this process and the evolution of the protests and making their voices heard. But right now, we're going to go for a short break, and when you come back, we'll continue our conversation.
Stay tuned.
The largest cultural activity in Pakistan is the annual National Folk Festival, Lok Mela, held in Islamabad in October each year. Over the past 2 decades, this festival has taken on an international flavour, and more than 20 different countries have sent their artisans and performers to participate in the festival. Nationally, the festival has become a thing of pride for artisans and performers who come on their own to participate. Most important of all, the provinces of Pakistan and Azad Jammu and Kashmir put up beautifully decorated pavilions, and visitors had the unique opportunity to see an assortment of Pakistan's traditionally rich culture in the federal capital of Islamabad for an exciting 10 days. An exhibition of artisans at work under the banner of the Heritage Museum forms the core of this festival. Pavilions of each province depict their own regional culture and crafts. The Research and Media Centre of Lok Virsa arranges groups of dancers that perform all over the festival grounds, inviting visitors to join in. And in the evening, arranges music concerts.
अपने कदम जमा तेरे साथ है तेरा खुदा कश्मीर जो पाकिस्तान भी है ये रूह भी है ये जान भी है ये जन्नत अर्ज़ी ये वादी अब इसका नसीब है आज़ादी अब इसका नसीब है आज़ादी अब इसका नसीब है आज़ादी
Thank you very much for staying tuned, and for everybody who just got tuned into PT World, you watching World this morning alongside Shahzad and Ma. And today we have dedicated our show to all of those lives which have been lost in, in that fight for freedom, in that fight for self-determination as well in Kashmir. And we do stand in solidarity with them. The Kashmir Solidarity Day is in Pakistan, all over Pakistan. It is being observed on the 5th of February, and I've given a brief background that the initiative was taken by the then Chief Minister of Punjab, Mian Mohammad Nawaz, who is now the Premier of Pakistan as well. Hats off to sir as well, because these initiatives were necessary. And back in 1990, and since then we have been observing this day. And on 5th of February, there are processions, and then there are different cultural events. Prayers are being made, and people make this human chain as well, all alongside from Kashmir to AJK, and then in internal Pakistan as well. And it is just to show, or it is just to convey a message to the international community that we are with our Kashmiri brethren. That's what it is.
Absolutely. And so before the break, we were in discussion with how the way to protest and make awareness, raise awareness, has evolved. So as Dr. Vleeb was mentioning, the youth have now started utilizing the social media. Once there was a media ban, they used that. So Shaisa, tell us, before we move on to Mr. Sayed Faiz, how are you, once there is all these restrictions, when you cannot use, when the media is not being objective, when the social media is being banned, how do you mobilize, how do you make sure that you guys are sticking together, that these atrocities are being going unnoticed?
We saw after July 8th that when youth of Kashmir took social media in their hands and they showed what's happening on there, and every picture, every situation was being conveyed to us here and to the world. And then there was a ban on internet, and we saw that even Facebook and Twitter posts were being removed, and accounts were being disabled because they were showing solidarity with their freedom fighter Burhan Wani. And that was a time when Kashmiri youth realized that we have to engage, we have to use every possible tool, we have to write, we have to read, we have to speak, we have to use every means of communication to convey our message to the world. And people like us, people like leaders sitting over here, they were persons who were then conveying what's happening in Indian occupied Kashmir. We have all family there, we are all relatives there. We were because we were not able to talk to them. So we were here conveying to the people, conveying to the governments, conveying to the world that we are not in communication with people. Whatever is happening in Kashmir, nobody knows, because every communication mean is being banned and every voice is being choked. So that was the time when youth took they created other means to convey their messages. They utilized other means, other internet facilities of the government or any other sector. So they conveyed through us they messaged us their pictures and voice message through WhatsApp. Any other mean which they could convey to us, they used and they utilized that.
Okay.
So that was a point when we realized that it's not just the government, it's not just the policy makers, it's the people who can make the difference. It's small efforts that can make the difference. And people of Kashmir, the students, they wrote articles, they are writing blogs now, they are writing even books now. Even Kashmiris are writing their sufferings now. We have a book known as Do You Remember Conan Poshpura? That's written by 5 girls of Indian occupied Kashmir. We have a book, Structure of Violence, that's written by Kashmiris. That's a 800-page book that has all the reports of so many cases, people who are being disappeared, people who are being killed, people who are in the mass graves.
And you know what, sorry, what we need to do is, I think what we should do is that, you know, we should actually, from your mouth, sir, how is life in Indian occupied Kashmir though? I mean, for all those people who might not have got a chance to be on social media, who might not have read a book or whatever the fact may be, let's share this.
Let us discuss the situation
Yeah.
prevailing in Indian occupied Kashmir, and you can assess the life.
Yeah, that's what the
is
motive
going
is.
After, I will refer this after the Burhan Wani's killing. There was more than 5 months curfew imposed in Kashmir. The newspaper, office of the newspapers, they were frequently attacked for publishing the stories of the atrocities by the Indian Armed Forces. Internet was suspended. There was an acute problem of medicines, life-saving drugs. Even the hospitals, the operation theaters were attacked. You see, the operation theaters, they are specially fumigated to avoid the infection. They would go in the operation theaters having the shoes
Exactly.
and everything. They even destroyed these ventilators. This is the Indian Army. And there was complete shortage of essential items, food items. There was even the milk was not available for the small babies. This was the life the Kashmiris have faced, these things. And this, what is the objective? Why all this? Because India want to continue its occupation by the military might. If I will give you a small account of when the matter was in the United Nations, and the United Nations had passed the resolutions. At that time, India, through their representatives in the Security Council, made pledges. Yes, India will implement the UN resolutions. Even the Indian Prime Minister at that time, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, he made a commitment before the world at large, in the Indian Parliament, before the public, that India will implement the UN resolutions, and so that they can get their right to decide their future. But the sad part of this, at the same time, the government of India was deploying its forces in all parts of the Kashmir. Once India was sure that the military grip over Kashmir is now strong on Kashmir, India started calling Kashmir as an integral part, ignoring the responsibilities towards the United Nations. As a member state, India is obliged to implement the UN resolutions.
Exactly.
But India said, no, this is my part. Against the UN resolutions, against the facts. But from the very beginning, we, the people of the Kashmir, we are demanding our right to self-determination and asking the world, please come forward, pressurize India on 2 accounts. Stop human rights violations, all kinds of human rights violations. And number two, give us our right, the right to self-determination. And I will make a small, the human rights violations are so massive in Indian occupied Kashmir that the government of India has enacted a series of black laws which gives unlimited powers to the Indian armed forces.
Exactly, we have even discussed that previously.
Yeah, even the Indian armed forces have been given right, they can shoot to kill anyone at discretion by virtue of the section 4 of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. And in the section 7 of the same act, no suit can lie against any Indian soldier. Impunity has been granted to the Indian armed soldiers. Once there is no accountability for their actions, the human rights violations has tremendously.
And just imagine any human under that uniform, whatever you may call it. I mean, once they get to know all of this, imagine what they can do with their own.
Yeah, and by human and psychology and human nature, by nature, people are not good and they can be led astray. But I want to bring Dr. Walid into the conversation. You were mentioning about this, you know, all this, the evolution of the protesting and making the voices heard. Now, there have been a gross misconduct. There's been, you know, complete ignoring of people's human rights, the UN resolutions, etc. Now, going forward, what do you think? How can people really make it hit home that this occupation needs to end? Because, you know, the world is getting into a very messy place. So, you know, you don't want Kashmir to ever be forgotten and all the people that are suffering. So how do we go forward now?
Actually, young man has raised a question and I want to add, Advocate Naqshbandi. It's 111 kilometers in length and 84 kilometers in breadth. And actually it is a garrison via 3 corps, 14, 15 and 16 are deployed.
Okay.
And you may imagine a bowl of 111 kilometers in length and 84 kilometers in breadth. And you have deployed 3 corps, including the paramilitary troops, the intelligence agencies, and the other supplies agencies. And you can imagine easily what will be the situation. Because you are controlling each and every right.
Exactly.
Even a personal right also. And you are being deployed in every nook and corner of the valley. And you are guarding everything which is moving.
I hope it's going to open their eyes, I mean, for all those people.
Number one. Number two, we have to define what is the structural differences.
Okay, now, sir, I'm very sorry that we are very short of time, but we need to talk about the solutions too. You as political representative, you might have solutions in your hand as well. So let's propose those solutions.
There are 2 things which has to be made clear. One thing is dispute and another thing is conflict. It's not dispute. It is not the border dispute between 2 nations, between Pakistan and India. It is a conflict. And conflict means when you are talking in terms of international law, when you are seizing the basic human rights, which is a fundamental principle of United Nations also, which we call in international law IGO, International Government Organization. When you seize the basic fundamental, it is a conflict.
Right.
Now you have to resolve the conflict. That means you have to remove the occupation. That's very simple. It do not need any further interpretation. It's justly you have to restore the democratic right. That democratic right, when the people will be asked, what do they want? It is very simple. If majority says, as it is very clear, the APIC top leadership is clear, particularly Saidi Ali Gilani, Mirwais Saab and Yasin Malik, that if even majority says that we want to be with India, we have no objection to comply that. Let people decide. You have to give them the free right to decide. Either India or Pakistan or some people have their own other option. They do advocate.
I don't really know how does
you have
this
to
thing,
simply provide.
I don't really know how does this thing emerge for somebody who's actually sees your basic human rights, do you think that they're going to right to decide as well? And then, if such a thought emerges as well, but let's, okay, go on because it's your opinion as well.
Yeah.
No, it is not the first time anybody has occupied any land and they have left that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
You have seen the changes even from 1947 till 1984 when Cold War ended. Russia was controlling entire territory and they have vacated the entire territory despite a second biggest power of the
Let's
world.
talk about our own
They have
issue.
to,
We'll
yeah,
run
they
out
have
of
to
time.
wait.
We want
They
solutions
have
from
to
the
vacate,
leaders.
sir. They have
Yeah.
The solution is very simple. You have to ask the people, give them the right. What we are talking, we are
Exactly.
not confusing anything. Just to give them the right. They want to ask us where we want to do, what we want.
The
Right.
only,
Very
the
simple.
only solution, the only solution is implementation of the UN resolutions on Kashmir.
That is right to self-determination.
This is the decision by the highest forum of the world. It is the United Nations. Morally, legally, India is bound to implement the UN resolutions, and all the member states of the United Nations, they are under obligation to pressurize India for implementation of the UN resolutions,
right.
so that we could also feel the fragrance of peace in the region.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Sorry, quickly.
Kashmir is unique in this case that its solution was given first. That is the UN resolution. Even before the conflict was known to the people of the world.
Yeah.
So the solution was given the first, and that is the right.
It
to
just needs to be
self-determination.
implemented, basically.
It needs to be implemented, and it's the stubbornness of India which is a hindrance between them.
Exactly. Great. Thank you so much.
Actually,
for your
this
time.
term should not be confused. It is very much clear.
Yeah,
Where you want to go, let me tell you.
Exactly. That's how
Very
it is.
right,
That's
very
what we are
simple.
saying.
We want right, and that right which has been ratified by United Nations.
That's what we said.
It's clear.
Yeah.
It's very much
Absolutely.
clear.
So great. So with that, the solution is that people need to follow the UN resolutions, like as Shaista and Sir have mentioned, that the solution was there. People just need to implement it and actually follow it.
And I think
also,
and I think it's the responsibility of all the UN. I mean, Saeed said it very correctly. For all the UN member states, I think it's their responsibility to pressurize those.
That's
I
our
mean,
point
okay,
of view. So we
that's
all work
what it is.
together. And so with that also, also protesting is also a democratic right, so you should not be suppressing that. When a government is doing that, then there's something to worry about. With that, you log onto our Facebook fan page,
Which is with the name of World This Morning.
our Twitter page,
It's World This Morning without a G.
our Daily Motion and YouTube
World
page,
This Morning once again.
and the fabulous repeat is that.
It's going to be at 11:05 p.m. But ladies and gentlemen, we all need to stand with our Kashmiri brethren, and we need to show our solidarity.
Or any inhumanity that's taking place.
Exactly, that's what it is. Look after yourselves. Good morning.